should have been 20. Anyway, I'll start. This poem I wrote yesterday, and it's based on a memory from when I was in Liverpool as a student. And right, it's called Portrait of Liz. It's been such a long time. Your frame is cracking up. The portrait is curling at the edges, like your lips when you were angry. It's really a disgrace to treat art this way. Didn't you want the picture you had cried for, posing naked in the winter in a pad on Bold Street? It wasn't what you wanted, but he loved you for it. You were the treasure of his exhibition. Welsh Gavin, the artist with such curly hair, hanging on his shoulders, painting. Liz, your features so attractive, so Jewish bride. It had snowed the night he finished it, leaving your face covered in kisses, naked and blissed out in delicious pain, leaving his palette to dry muddy. Unlike his gift, a leaving present after a joint, a study in flesh under a scarlet moon, left you ecstatically high, raised up on a bed, disappearing in a puff of smoke with a cynical smile. I wish he'd painted me instead. That day you ran away to form a wee close threesome down in Reading. It never really worked for him, the young romantic declaring undying love for me on his return to Liverpool 8. But Liz, I couldn't take him from your gaze. Though he'd always wanted me, he claimed, an artist's wiles. We'll always be friends. As we stripped, you'll be the star in my next novel, I declared. A whole chapter to ourselves. And oh yeah, the next one is based on our trip to Kashmir, which is often, I wrote that this week as well. I mean, it's always an inspiration. If I think, what shall I write about? I always go back to Kashmir because it's so fascinating, you know. But it's called, do you remember our trip to Kashmir on a broken down bus with flaming wheels? Not at all like the brochures, not at all laid back, no soul food, no videos. 3 days from Delhi, driven by wild-eyed Sikhs, guns at the ready, leaving on bread and yak tea, very nutritious really, between fantasy and reality. Cursing the blood-sucking hotel, sold us the trip, all expenses paid, to paradise, a place to write, delightful views. And yes, Srinagar was exquisite. On the Shalimar, a houseboat full of crazy dreams, and doe-eyed girls on shikaras with skull caps covered in stars, rowing over the flowing waters, silken fringes blown by the wind, exposing water lilies and roses, clinging in their wavy hair. Our boat carved in deities. Hanneman ruled okay. If only I had a banana. You'll have to pay more. If it wasn't for the war, Mick Jagger stayed here once. Did he eat one plate boiled eggs for breakfast served by a man dressed in high art style, dicky bow and white gloves, delivered by Lakshmi, goddess of wealth? Would you like saffron tea? But don't drink too much. You may never come down. Would you like a poncho, the purest wool? We wear a fire pot under it for the winter. Om Mani Padme Om. And next one. I've got one more. It's my Halloween one. I wrote it today, actually. It's called The Witch's Sabbath. Out there on a black tide, their smouldering cloaks, their charred feet as the flames bit, blistered on fire like a rabid dog at their female parts. Just because I could swim, they dangled me in the river, just to find out. My limbs struggled naturally, and I swam across. My reward would be to burn on a wood pyre, ready to take off. She pleaded with me for help. My herbs had helped before. My neighbour's babe was dying. She caught the Black Death, pustules on her skin as she recalled the heap of lime. It was not my medicine. Honest to God, she drawled. In any case, the bishop ordered me to do it. At this she winked suggestively, unless expelling a fly. her fired up body left in an explosion of black jewels, the whispering fragments, trying to please, only trying, emanating from smoking flames, screaming in pain. The bishop clutched his Bible, black as Satan's heart, made eyes at the stained glass windows as they took flight. Their herbs were gathered in psychedelic moonlight, caterwauling in a full moon. They mounted their broomsticks. Hattie's spirit cast a disdainful eye at the lovers in the tower. The bishop, soon to be defrocked, must die. He gave the last rites. In the church before the windows, cracked, echoing his cries, allowing in the lifeblood of the world no compromise. As shadows on the wall mimic mother and child, flicker away. Thanks very much.
Passé as history. Crossing the interminable Badlands by the mountains of Mexico, a scenario rewritten on the quay of Alexandria, Virginia. J.K. Deauville, a literary Dillinger, wandering past a biograph. I'm watching Western style from an alley parallel to the boulevard. I remember MacArthur and Kennedy's dramatis personae, bootleggers Lake Superior, guided by Greenwich to Cuba Libre. Roxanne, in a two-bit part, a Hollywood opium pipe Monroe, journeying back to San Diego to visit actors and marionettes. Spinning these fantasies, especially for President Nixon. A whirlwind journey from Kent University to Saigon. It's a matter of perspective as time ghost TV voiceovers. A 3-minute silence to mark the beginning of hostilities. Remembering Okinawa by streetlights nowadays forgotten. The Statue of Liberty, a vacation experience for school kids. Traveling back to 9/11, representing a wad of money, revisiting Tamburlaine to Samarkand, voyaging to Ethiopia, shape-shifting photos in a rearview mirror of Atlanta burning, glimmering in the morning light over the Mississippi Valley, returning from those churchyard gates for trick-or-treating. I'm watching Lee Harvey Oswald scrambled by the KGB, a scenario rewritten by Polanski's Realpolitik shadow play. A passé sobriquet devised the multi-tracking, projected a split-screen Joan d'Arc, a ghost perspective. Smoke whirls from Monrovia to Siberia via Arizona, crossing the backlots to the hairdresser's dummy, shape-shifting photos in a rear-view mirror of butterflies. It's a masterpiece, Mr. DeVille. It's a masterpiece, Mr. DeMille. Forget Mount Rushmore. We're going via Caravaggio's brushstrokes to perfection. Dead men's voices. I remember traveling on the shoreline of the Ganges, night following night, flying in morning light across the Himalayas to Paris. An evening star arrives, spinning within the eye of a Kashmir diamond, journeying across the tundra to the city limits, where Baedeker rays destroyed Cologne and Dusseldorf. It's getting dark again in the morning sky over Coventry, the dawn light, shadows, fragments of cathedrals, visible wavelengths to the shoreline of Atlantis. In Knightsbridge and Kensington, there's rubble and a Glastonbury thorn growing. Red-shifted ultraviolet wavelengths from beyond Earth's orbit at Nagasaki. We see the uranium deposits and tungsten mines on the horizon of the moon. We're dying in Odessa, crossing the Gobi Desert, a quintillion from the sun. The Brandenburg concertos playing on a retrieval system somewhere other. Our trees and mountains, a beautiful illuminated illustration from the ancients, black light wavelengths. On an incubator, this mothership's a waiting room, abdominal X-ray spectroscopy provides the analysis, dead men's voices. From a wayside tea house, journeying back via the headstones in the churchyard, traveling from across the Pleiades to Andromeda, Kepler's exoplanets spinning within the nuclei of hydrogen. Leave the door unlocked for light to enjoy our dancing star, crossing the Tyrrhenian Sea to sacrifice Adonai, collecting moonstones and Aristotle's Gnostic Gospels, scroll work of Baltic ambergris and amethyst, reading Virgil in a cave under the northern lights. It's old Lucretius in the Atlas Mountains reading Starlight, traveling from across the Pleiades to Andromeda. It's monks who know what's written in Assyrian script, deciphering voices of night owls after Sol's midnight, wandering mountains over our motherland river Ganges. One by one, a few days before Thanksgiving Day arrives, on the threshold of a village, tea house Osiris and Isis rises. Our ancestors traveled to Egypt via their inner sanctum. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Lots of reading.